Hey all, Matthew Donald here. So, good news. That Walking with Dinosaurs episode I've been threatening to do for the last few months, but haven't been able to get around to it thanks to technical issues, shenanigans involving work, personal life stuff, and some good old fashioned procrastination. Well, guess what? Not only is it finally available right now on the Patreon at patreon.com/Matthew Donald, but so are two other episodes available right now, Walking with Beasts and Walking with Monsters. We do the whole Walking with trilogy. 3 bonus episodes right there. And since I'm very behind on these bonus episodes, there's also going to be a 4th bonus episode later this month about the Dinoverse books by Scott Simpson. These middle grade books about junior high kids that get their minds trapped in the bodies of dinosaurs. It's very weird. A girl falls in love with an Acrocanthosaurus. Yeah, that's weird. If you want to hear some of that nonsense, go to the Patreon at patreon.com/Matthew Donald. Link is in the description. Have a good day.
Roar, growl, snarl, bellow.
Welcome to Paleobites, the terrible podcast about terrible lizards. My name is Matthew Donald, and each week I and a rotating series of guest co-hosts talk about and rate a genus of prehistoric animal, be it dinosaur, mammal, arthropod, and so on. This week, joining me once again, because he's a fan favorite in the Audubon community, it's once more the namesake of the Donald part of Matthew Donald and my father, Donald Hall. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing good. You're good. It's good for you to be. I'm glad to have you back, because you add a sense of authority to this podcast. You make it seem so much more professional than it actually is.
Well, I hope that's the case, but I'm not sure.
Well, you do what you can, of course, but you add a sense of gravitas to the podcast, I guess.
Ooh, I like that word.
Gravitas. Yes, indeed.
Very Roman.
Oh, well, you like your Roman stuff. You like that whole. I've heard this meme that's going on lately. It's about my version of the Roman Empire is this. Have you heard about this?
No, I haven't.
It's because someone made a joke that what men have in common is that they always think about the Roman Empire. And so a lot of ladies are like, my Roman Empire is, and it's something that they're obsessed with. I don't know if that's true, but it's true for you.
I certainly do think about the Roman Empire.
Like every day?
I don't think so.
Okay, when was the last time you thought of it other than today?
I think of it frequently.
Nice. Okay, so that's the question. And if you could throw in a dinosaur into the gladiator games of the Roman Empire, which one would you do? And I feel like it should be one that the gladiators have somewhat of a chance. So a T-Rex probably is not.
I think a group of velociraptors would make for an interesting match with some gladiators.
Oh, absolutely. No, a group of velociraptors would be interesting because then I feel like do gladiators often team up, or is it just one versus all the?
Frequently they had they acted out battles, so they would team up. But
Right.
It's really a misnomer to think that the gladiators always died in the arena. There was so much training to get a gladiator ready for the arena that losing one in the arena was actually very costly. So the concept that they died in the arena is really not true.
Of course, that makes sense. And also, like modern sports, they had merchandise, right? And they had sponsorships, didn't they?
They did. They absolutely did. And they, if you would go back into the Colosseum, you would see people walking around selling peanuts and things like that, hawking juice and
Oh wow!
hawking seat cushions and umbrellas.
Buy Maximus's seat cushions for 3 pieces of bronze until the month of Augustus. 2 pieces of bronze. So if you enter in the code Maximus, your local merchant thing. Anyways, all right. Well, I say they throw an Anzu in there. And speaking of which, we're talking about Anzu. So I showed you this one because you're interested in birds. You love birds. You're part of the Audubon group. You're a master birder. And so rather than just talking about birds like we did last time, where we talked about the passenger pigeon, we're going to talk about a dinosaur that is so similar to a bird that if you saw it in the modern day, you would just think it was like a cassowary or something. So Anzu, it's named after the Mesopotamian bird demon, even though it's not from Mesopotamia. So I don't know why they called it that. So
Probably looked like one of the gods from Mesopotamia, something like that.
something like that. Type is an oviraptorosaur, a group of theropod dinosaurs that include in the Maniraptoran clade. That clade includes the dromaeosaurs, like the raptors, the therizinosaurs, and all modern birds. So the next closest relative to the Maniraptorians are the ornithomimids like Gallimimus and the like, but this one is closely related to that and thus closely related to birds, although not quite in the group that evolved into them. Size 11.5 to 12.3 feet, slash 3.5 to the 3.75 meters long, 440 to 660 pounds, 200 to 300 kilograms. So that's pretty big. That's bigger than a cassowary. Diet omnivore, although we think it might be closer to a herbivore. Because with those bills, the oviraptors, they don't have teeth. So it's kind of hard to tell what it ate.
Yeah, that's an interesting dinosaur because it had a beak, but it had no teeth inside the beak. So
much like a bird.
It truly looked and resembled in many ways a bird.
Exactly. So time, late Cretaceous, 67 to 66 million years ago. This was one of the ones that made it all the way to the end. Because if you recall, it's 66 million years ago that we think the dinosaurs died out now rather than 65, thanks to closer geological carbon dating. But described in 2014, pop culture appearances, the survival game Saurian, which depicts the dinosaurs in Hell Creek Formation such as this, where like you play as the dinosaurs and try to survive. So the Hell Creek Formation is one of the most famous formations of dinosaurs, right up there with the Morrison Formation. The Morrison Formation is the Jurassic one. And remember when you and I went to Dinosaur National Monument?
Yes. Uh-huh.
That was the Morrison Formation. That's in the Jurassic. This is the Hell Creek Formation, which is in Montana, South Dakota, and North Dakota. And it includes many famous dinosaurs like T-Rex, Triceratops, Edmontosaurus, Pachycephalosaurus, Dracorex, Stygimoloch, Struthiomimus, Ankylosaurus, Denversaurus, and Torosaurus. And if you want to learn more about any of these, I've done episodes on all of those I've mentioned. This show's
sounds
been
like
going
a place we need to visit.
Yeah, this show's gone on for a while, and so all these dinosaurs, like I've done episodes on them before. But there's also like some other ones like Quetzalcoatlus, other sort of stuff. This is also the first example of a North American oviraptorosaur. So you like oviraptor, you know that one, the egg thief that we don't think actually was an egg thief.
Yep.
That's from Asia. That's from the Gobi Desert.
Huh.
So this one's from North America. Now, a lot of these dinosaurs that are from Asia are also from North America because the Bering Strait was
right was connected.
Well, but not even. It's different from the Ice Age times where it was lowered sea levels. This was just they were actually connected. So like T-Rex is in North America, but Tarbosaurus, which is very close relative of T-Rex, was in Asia. So, and then there's a lot of examples like that. Now, if you remember in Jurassic World Dominion, at the beginning, there's that Cretaceous prologue.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have said that like that oviraptor that's in it could easily be replaced with an Anzu if they wanted to make it more accurate. So, because Anzu was in that same place as all the other ones, but although there was it did play kind of fast and loose with history, but it's a movie. I don't really care.
Well, and frankly, the concept of what the dinosaurs looks like changes almost annually.
Oh, no, exactly. So, and I know some people are like, oh, we're getting closer and closer to the truth. And I'm like, in a way, yes, but we will never be able to know 100% for sure unless we invent time travel.
Or pull one out of a glacier.
Pull one out of a glacier or like a wormhole or something.
Yep.
So, as you have noticed when looking at this picture, because you did some studying of it yourself, I heard, it has a cassowary-like crest. In fact, this crest is one of the biggest any oviraptorosaur relative to the right side of the skull. But it was made out of paper-thin bone. So it's very, very unlikely it was used for combat.
Most likely used for mating.
Yeah, to display. Like the males probably raised it up to fight with all males. Although there are some fossils that have injuries in the ribs and toes from the tendons being torn away. We don't know if that was from a predator or if it was like two males fighting each other. So, and for what it's worth, though, the bones were healed. So that's not what this specimen died from. So, which kind of leads more credence to the theory that it was two males fighting each other.
Right.
So, which I think would be interesting. Like when cassowaries, what do they use their crest for?
Cassowaries use their crest really for mating behavior.
Okay. So they don't use it as weapons at all, or
no?
Those are pretty hollow too, right? Like those.
There's evidence the cassowary may have been domesticated by humans thousands of years before the chicken.
What? Those are some brave people.
They would capture cassowary chicks and raise them as semi-tame poultry. for use in ceremonial gift exchanges and as food.
Oh, wow.
They're the only indigenous Australian and Asian animal known to have been partly domesticated.
Really? Indigenous. Wait, weren't dogs from Asia, technically? Weren't domestic dogs, didn't they travel from Asia?
Australasia.
Oh, okay. Well, what about dingoes? I don't.
Dingoes came down from Asia.
Yeah, okay, so I'm confused, I guess, but what you're.
I'm talking about Australian. Some New Guinea highland societies captured cassowary chicks and raised them as
tributes, you said?
Mm-hmm. But they still do it says.
Oh, what?
Yep.
Brave people. Okay, so here's my question then. So obviously cassowaries wouldn't have been in the Colosseum. That was a bit far, but did they ever bring ostriches in there?
They did.
Now, did the ostriches attack them or did they just kill them?
The ostriches would attack the people. They would
try and kick them.
Yeah, they would actually. And of course, one of the things they tried to do with all the animals in the Colosseum was enrage them. So when they came out, they were ready to fight.
Right. Which is, very, very unethical, but it makes for some entertaining stuff for the Romans. But so I can see like an Anzu being pretty good in the Colosseum then for sure too.
Yeah, sadly, if there had been dinosaurs or mammoths around at that time, they would have been killed in the Colosseum.
Oh, for sure. Unfortunately. There's a sequel to Gladiator coming out next year?
I heard that.
Yeah, but didn't Russell Crowe's character die?
He did.
Well, I guess there are other gladiators.
All right, he was kind of the central figure, though.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, there's other gladiators in history. I don't know if it's unrelated.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anyways, on that note, so Anzu is a pretty cool animal. I've seen it depicted in a lot of stuff. I think we might have. Oh no, it was Capactly that we saw at the Denver Zoo when they had those animatronic dinosaurs.
Right,
there.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was a relative like that. Capactly. That was fun. I love that. I love that big Utah raptor by the bird.
Yeah,
I think it was enormous. And the T-Rex. that was a fun time going to that. But yeah, so Anzu itself though, it's just cool to see this such a bird-like dinosaur alongside dinosaurs. Like if we went back to this time, we would just think it was a cassowary, and that's just crazy. I mean, like they had wings. Their wings, like they held them almost like birds hold their wings. Like the more we learn about the raptors, we think that they held their arms like wings. Obviously not to fly, but just the way they held them,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's like the feathers go all the way to the tip of the middle claw, and like not just like because like sometimes when they depict them with feathers, they have the feathers only going up to the wrist, but no, they went all the way up to the fingers. So it's incredible. It's incredible how bird-like they are. And I bet Audubon would do a great job protecting them if they were alive today. Does Audubon worldwide?
It is not.
Okay, so it's just in North America.
Actually, Audubon is throughout the hemisphere.
Okay, so no ratites are under protection.
South America.
Oh,
no.
So the RIAs would be under protection of the Audubon then.
Well, they're not really under protection. Audubon looks at protecting areas down in South America because American birds migrate down to South America.
Okay.
And so it's important to protect habitat down there if we want to protect American birds.
Gotcha. Are there any things like this that Audubon would work with? All right, well, let's rate Anzu 1 out of 65 million. I'm going to rate it like a 61 million. I think it's really cool. And I think it's cool that it lived alongside like T-Rex and Triceratops. Those are some heavy hitters. And I think the name is kind of funny, like Anzu living alongside Triceratops and T-Rex and Ankylosaurus. Like what a roster of creatures to have all these famous dinosaurs like Triceratops, Pachycephalosaurus, and then Anzu. That's just
I think it would be. I would rate it very high as well. I'd give it a 62 billion.
62 million, cool.
62 million. I think it is. I would call it a bird.
Okay, I mean
I'm going to call it a bird.
All right, you do you. I mean, that's against the science, but it's not quite in the group that did go to it. But you know what? I wouldn't blame you from based on everything I see. All right, well, that's it for this week. If you want to get a hold of the show, and contact me at paleobitespodcast@gmail.com, at paleobitespod on Twitter, and paleobitespodcast on Instagram, and also Matthew Donald Creator on Facebook, Matthew Donald 64 on all the other stuff too. And I have a book series on Amazon, Megazoic, available for print and Kindle. If I'd known about Anzu when I was writing them, I would have used it, but alas, I did not. So, all right, well, that's it for this week. I say at the end of every episode of Paleobites, What do cassowaries do? Do they make a loud screech? That's a trick. Anyways.
Here's cassowary sound.
Oh, here we go.
I think we use it.
Yeah, we're going to use that. Holy crap. The age of dinosaurs is still ongoing, listeners. That's a cassowary? I mean, those are other birds in the background, but...
That's the cassowary, that rumbling sound.
Holy
Low rumble is a cassowary.
What the hell?
That's what they make T-Rexes sound like. Wow.
Well, a lot of things they think you could feel them more than you could hear them sometimes.
Well, that's almost a sound here that you could feel. I mean, when it starts to rumble, listen to this rumble again.
That is a dinosaur.
Would you want to walk into the woods listening to that?
And these the one they domesticated like before chickens. Wow. The Aborigines were badass.
And keep in mind, cassowaries are very dangerous.
Yes.
So that sound is not just the bark of a tame dog.
No.
It is the sound of an animal that could really hurt you.
Cassowaries can disembowel you and kick you and rip you with your beak. Yeah, no, they're terrifying.
Yeah, in Australia, they trying to protect them.
I don't think
But they don't want to make them iconic because they're afraid that one would kill a child or something, and then everybody would want to kill them all. So they're quietly protecting them.
Well, based on the Emu War from Australia,
Yes.
I think they can hold on their own.